So, have you ever wondered what was fact and what might be subjective in 2022 when it comes to hydration, especially everything that we know now with sports nutrition and sports science? Well, that's going to be our topic of conversation today. So, let's talk about it. Hey, everybody, it's Thomas with Get Out Arizona, and you are watching another informative episode of Garage Talk. Well, I hope it's informative for you guys. We're coming to you once again from the GOA studios in El Mirage, Arizona, which, of course, we already have established. It's my garage, but it's what I have. It's what I'm working with. So I got my glasses on today because I got some notes. So I want to make sure that everything that I've researched, I regurgitate accurately. And yeah, I'm wearing another Grunt Style t-shirt. Although they're not a sponsor for the station, I do enjoy wearing their clothing. And yeah, I like peeing outside. So it kind of worked. It just kind of came up in the email and I figured, what the heck? So I know we're already kind of going off the rails, but let's get back on track. Hydration 2022. It's always been important, but things have changed over the course of the years. Now, I know I'm 49 years old, and so for the time that I was in high school and playing high school sports, a young man, as an adult, a father, working industrial construction for 17 years, and what we thought we knew about hydration then, mountain biking, hiking, all the outdoor activities and what we thought we knew about hydration concerning that. Not to mention Spartan races, working out, CrossFit, everything. A lot has changed. So we're going to talk about what you need to know in the form of, hey, this was kind of the standing myth or the standing mindset, and now this is actually what it is. And it's interesting because some of these items, because of research, are actually subjective, and they're not subjective of like they're accurate or inaccurate. It's kind of your frame of reference, but we're going to talk a lot of generalities, okay? I'm 49 years old. I weigh 210 pounds as of now. I know I've put on some weight since surgery and everything. It happens. But my needs for hydration are very different than, say, a man who's 31 and weighs 160 pounds, or a woman who's 22 and weighs $110, or a woman who's 41 and she's maybe tall, a gal, 6 foot, 5'11", and weighs 180 pounds. How athletic are we? What's our diet? There's so many different variables, really, and so it's important to know yourself, number one, and some of these kind of take with a grain of salt. Some of these are not absolutes, all right? I'll let you know which ones aren't, and chime down, below in the comments if you have something to add. We're an interactive station, an interactive channel, and so I really enjoy that. So without further ado, as I take a sip of my coffee, and you'll understand why it's okay. A little bit later on in this episode. Let's get started. So water, I mean, if we think about it, we need food, water and air, basically. That's it, okay? Now we can survive a lot longer without food than we can water. We can survive a whole lot longer without water than we can air. It's kind of the hierarchy of things. But water is so important when it comes to our nutrition, nutritional balance. And if you think about like all living creatures on the planet, including plants, they are alive, different argument for a different day. Some creatures, 90% of their body's makeup is actually water. So when it comes to people, humans, us, it's about 60%. Our bones, our vital organs, our skin, our brains. It acts as a shock absorber for our brain, our spinal cord, creating saliva, lubrication for our joints, aids in the digestion process, filtering out with the kidneys, the use of our kidneys and our renal system. So there's so many things that water, controlling our body temperature, regulating our body temperature, make sure we don't stroke out, which we'll get to. A lot of different things, a lot of key things that needs, constant hydration. When we talk of hydration, we're talking about a balance, just like anything else, all right? Anything in this world. Think of the ocean and the salinity level, it's got to be at a balance. Our body makeup, our chemistry and everything got to be in balance. So photography, videography, the exposure triangle, why you're looking for balance, okay? So all that being considered and all that being said, this is what we're trying to maintain a good balance for ourselves and our body when it comes to hydration. Now, generally, and these are, again, we're speaking in generalities, average male needs about 3 liters of hydration a day, which does not always have to mean, drinking liquids, various forms. And the average female needs about 2 liters a day. So already we're seeing differences between men and women. Now, again, all those vital functions that I've just mentioned, the major one, but also we need to think as far as like how that water helps with our blood, okay, and what the makeup of our blood is, and how the water transports soluble proteins, carbohydrates, nutrients, throughout our entire body. So again, these are all just really, really important, and it helps with, our metabolism, everything. So it's a whole lot of stuff going on here. So let's get started with one of the first things. So if you're not thirsty, you're not dehydrated. And this is actually inaccurate. This is one of those things where thirst is a good indicator of hydration. And, when I did construction, I was a supervisor, I tell my guys, hey, if you're getting thirsty, you're already behind the 8 ball. So hydrate, prehydrate, which we'll get to. But you can actually lose 3 to 4% of your body's weight in water before you even start getting thirsty. So it's not necessarily the end all be all, just kind of keep that in mind. We should be, continually taking in liquids or foods, which we'll get to, that aid in the replenishment of our hydration levels. Now, you can go out and you could eat like, a sub, French dip, an Italian BMT sub or something like that, a pepperoni with really good cheese and, or pizza, I should say, with really good cheese and pepperoni, and that high sodium level will make you feel thirsty. You might not be dehydrated at all, but that additional sodium that you're introducing will cause you to think that you're dehydrated. So again, thirst is, it's one of those things you have to be mindful and pay attention to what your body's saying, but it's not the end all be all as far as that one goes, okay, for people. And we have to realize too, the older we get, which we'll talk about, our thirst, that whole, hey, I'm thirsty, decreases, okay? Which we'll get to here in a couple other of these. Now, drinking fluids is the only way to stay hydrated. This is a myth for the longest time, though. People really didn't realize. About 65 to 80% of our hydration intake is in the form of fluids, depending on what your diet is. That's just a fact. Whether that be water, juice, sports drinks, coffee, all the different things that we can, yes, beer, liquor stuff, but that's kind of like a different topic for a different day as far as that goes. But we have to think about the foods we eat too. If you eat a lot of salads, well, you have lettuce, tomatoes, all the different things that might go into a salad. We have cucumbers, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, oranges, grapefruits, apples, watermelon. These are all foods that have a high concentration of water within them. So as we eat these, we're hydrating. And this is just a fact. Not to mention, there's other things, broth, soup, different items like that. Again, it's water-based. So it goes without saying that it's aiding in our hydration. Now before, people didn't necessarily look at it that way, and it was very stringent. You had to be drinking water to hydrate. And we know now in 2022, that's not necessarily the case. So depending on your diet, you're actually getting quite a little bit, of hydration through the food you eat. Just kind of keep that in mind. Now, a T-bone steak's not going to have the same amount of hydration, as a Cobb salad, but, this is why I say it depends on what you're eating. So, the next one is the myth is you can't drink too much water. And this is false. You can, though it's rare. And that is actually known as hypotremia, also known as water toxicity, and the old timers used to call it being waterlogged, all right? And this is when our body's electrolyte and sodium levels become imbalanced, horribly imbalanced. This can actually be deadly if it's not treated properly, within a quick amount of time. So we want to be conscious of that. We want to maintain and we want to top off, but we don't want to go to a point of excess, especially, okay, if we're already eating, really low sodium diets and things that wouldn't necessarily replenish our electrolytes and our sodium levels. We can be in for a world of hurt. So just kind of, keep that in mind. It's rare that it happens, but it does happen. So again, it's one of those myths that, you know, 1 out of 100,000. So people just kind of like, it's impossible, you know, to drink too much water. It's really not. Just doesn't happen all that often. So number 4, sport drinks are the best choice to rehydrate after an intense exercise. And that's actually not true. You can get along with just water, okay? Here's where some of the problems run into, and we'll start with the sports drinks. Now, I typically drink Powerade Zero, okay? Some people drink just regular Powerade, some people drink Gatorade, some people drink Gatorade Propel or whatever it is, so it's the water with just the electrolytes. There's a bunch of different options. But a lot of the sports drinks that are out there are also packed with a bunch of bullshit we don't need, and it's actually unhealthy for us. So we kind of want to take that into effect, whether they're sweeteners, whether they're artificial sweeteners, whether they're the sodium amounts and everything. People don't realize all these things that we ingest do play a role in how we feel and how we recover. I know a lot of runners, some, you know, hikers and stuff like that, they'll use just water with electrolyte tabs, okay? So this way they're getting the electrolytes that they need, but they're not really taking in anything that's artificial, you know, so to speak. Sometimes I will actually do like a big cup with ice, and I'll do half of it Powerade and half of it water, so it's diluted, so I'm getting that replenishment of electrolytes and a little bit of sodium, but not overloading myself as far as that goes. So just know that after intense exercise or during, which we'll get to, water's gonna do you just fine. You just kind of have to, again, know your body, know your, you know, yourself. I sweat like a stuck pig once I start hiking or biking or doing anything, exercising in here at the gym. And so it's important for me to really constantly maintain that hydration. And because I lose a lot of salt when I sweat, and not everybody does, I have to be mindful of my electrolyte balance and my sodium intake as well. So again, knowing your body is really important. But yes, it's not the best choice to rehydrate. Water will work. As Bobby Boucher said, it's high quality H2O. But again, kind of sticking with this, and where people, you know, ultra purified waters, you know, they're stripped of those nutrients that we actually get in, you know, tap water. I used to drink tap water. I still drink tap water for, you know, as far as that goes. But yeah, so just kind of keep that in mind. The next one, myth number 5, and I remember hearing this when I was a kid, you needed to drink 8 glasses of water a day. So before we go any further, one, if you're hearing like there's jets, Luke Air Force, again, I live by Luke Air Force Base, and it is what it is. To me, it's the sound of freedom, so hopefully it doesn't bother you guys too much. I'll try to filter most of it out. So a cup, 8 ounces, a glass, 16 ounces. That's kind of like the rule of thumb there. So when we say 8 glasses of water, what's 8 times, you know, 16? 128 ounces, if my math is correct. Someone correct me down below if I wasn't. God, it's a whole lot of water to drink every day, or liquid to drink every day. But this is one of those things where it's subjective. How active are you? Are you sedentary that day, or did you wake up in the morning and jog, you know, do a 10K, and then that night you did, you know, exercise at the gym or CrossFit or whatever the case may be? So you really need to, again, know yourself, know your activity level, all these different things. Now, I remember, again, growing up, and even, you know, again, the construction, being a supervisor, I'd tell my guys, because this is what they said back then, half your body weight in ounces of water is what you need to drink to maintain, and that's being sedentary, okay? So let's just say I'm 200 pounds, but I'm really 210, but 200 pounds, I'd have to drink 100 ounces of water if I just woke up and did nothing, brushed my teeth, maybe cleaned a little bit, whatever the case may be. But during activity now, I have to increase that amount because I'm sweating, I'm breathing. We lose water simply through breathing. Now, some people are saying, nah, it's a third, you know, so, you know, 200 pounds, the quick math on that would be 67 ounces a day. Does that work for some people? Sure, it might. Did it work for me? Nope. I got to drink that extra water because I do sweat a lot. It is what it is as far as that goes. Now, this was always a good one, and I really enjoyed this one. And, you know, for a while I believed it too with coffee, and I'm a big iced tea drinker in the summertime. Holy smokes. But the myth was coffee was dehydrating. Now, when we think of in terms of coffee, we need to think about the caffeine content because that's what they're really referring to. So if you drink decaffeinated coffee, it really doesn't apply to you because, again, there's such a minute amount of caffeine, it's not going to be a factor. Where, regular cup of coffee, and what they're looking for is intake of, I think it's like 300 to 400 milligrams of caffeine, which you can drink, okay? 4 cups of coffee is what they're saying, roughly 32 ounces of coffee a day, and you're gonna be fine. And even if you drink a little bit more than that, as long as you're drinking water to offset, something to offset, you're gonna be fine. Now, you guys out there, and gals, drinking what, cappuccino or espressos or something that's like, 3 ounces, but it's got like a bajillion, milligrams of caffeine in it. It's a different story, and of course, I'm not saying anybody does drink that much espresso or cappuccino, but that's what they're referring to, is the milliliters or milligrams of caffeine that you're intaking every day. Maybe your Jones isn't coffee, maybe it's hot tea. Okay, tea has a super high concentration of caffeine in it. Some teas more than others. So maybe 4 cups of coffee, but you might only be able to drink 2 cups of tea. It just depends. Again, guys, everybody's different. I'm just laying out the new train of thought for you. So just kind of remember that. And coffee, because it's water-based, as long as you're not drinking a gallon a day, that goes towards your hydration, So keep that in mind as far as that goes. Now, number 7, you can remedy dehydration simply by drinking more water. Yes and no, okay? If you're dehydrated, your body needs to absorb that fluid. I'm telling you right now, not ice cold water, room temp water, it's gonna absorb a lot faster. We also have to take a look at your sodium, your electrolyte balance. There's a couple mitigating factors. Now, obviously, is water gonna be the best thing? Sure, grab a bottle. I drink all my water essentially at room temperature. Drink it, bring yourself back up to a level. Don't chug, because if you're at a point of dehydration, it could make you nauseous, you could vomit, and then that's just gonna be counterproductive as far as that goes. But know that yes, for the most part, all you need is water to help rehydrate yourself. Now, in extreme circumstances, again, working construction for all those years, I've seen several people hit the deck from heat exhaustion, which we'll talk about, rush to the hospital, and their bags of saline, just full bore, okay, to bring these people back up. That's how dangerous it can be, which we'll talk a little more about it later. But yeah, so just kind of think about that. We were drinking water for how many hundreds, thousands of years before there was any type of fucked up sports drinks or energy drinks or any of that shit, and we were doing just fine. And I'm sure we'll continue to do just fine. So the old train of thought was only drink extra during exercise. Now, so typically I know I'm going to be riding or hiking tomorrow, let's say. I would start pre-hydrating the night before. So if you wake up in the morning and you're getting ready to go run or race or anything, what you drink, it takes roughly about 3 to 4 hours for your body to really start absorbing it. So if you wait till you get to the starting line or wait till you get to wherever and you're chugging water or whatever it is you're chugging, it's not gonna do you any good, okay? It's gonna be a while before your system actually absorbs that, so you can actually get into a deficiency and now you're working to climb yourself up out of that hole. Try not to be that person. But yes, pre-hydrate the night before. Drink good water, good fluids. Wake up in the morning, you pee, and and you keep drinking, and you're replenishing and everything like that. And as you're exercising, yes, every time you exhale, you're losing moisture. You're dehydrating. Sweat, you're dehydrating. Saliva generating in your mouth, you're dehydrating. All these things are causing you to dehydrate. So, as you exert yourself, you breathe what? Your respiratory increases, right? You're sweating to control and regulate your temperature. So what do you need to do? You need to replace that. And you should make sure you stay on top of that. Now again, this is going to be subjective on how much you need to replace during your workout. Know your workout routine, how much you sweat, how much you're exerting yourself, and you can't go wrong as far as that goes. So, pee clear to be hydrated. So again, there's truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. If you're peeing absolute clear, there's no yellow tinge to it at all, you are literally at the max. What's coming in is going out, and you could probably do with a little less water at that point. I'm just saying. Typically, if it's yellow like lemonade, light yellow, you're fine. That's where you need to be. If it looks like apple juice, you're kind of fucked, okay? You're on the verge of just probably collapsing from dehydration. You could be getting close. But here's something that you need to realize though. During exercise, since we're sending everything to our muscles to exercise, you're still gonna pee, but it's gonna be darker because the body's wanting to conserve water, okay, for that renal process. So you're just only gonna pee what you need. So it may look dark and it may look, it's because it's concentrated, yes. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're dehydrated, you know, through the course. Now, if you pee dark and you're thirsty and you feel like you're gonna pass out, that's a whole different story. But just kind of general rule of thumb, every day you pee and it's like lemonade, you're good. Apple juice, not so much. Taking a little bit more hydration, okay? And lay off the alcohol maybe for a couple days, and you know, do what you need to do to get back up to a good level. So staying hydrated eliminates your risk of heat stroke. Now, it does not eliminate your need or the risk for heat stroke, but it decreases your risk for heat stroke, of course, with some caveats. Now, I'll take these off really quick. We use water, and we're, again, even balanced hydration to regulate our body temperature. If our core body temperature increases to 104 degrees or above, we run the risk of heat stroke, and heat stroke can be deadly. Again, I've seen guys go down. Thank God none of them died. That would have been a shit ton of paperwork for me to do. Now, if I'm out exercising in 120 degree weather, 115 degree weather for 3 hours, dude, I don't care how much you hydrate, there's a good chance you're gonna fucking stroke out, okay? Don't be that person. I hate seeing those people on the TV because it's like, you know, they didn't know better, and no one bothered to tell them anything, and they're not only putting their lives at risk, but the people who have to rescue them, their lives at risk as well. But maintaining hydration while you work out is allowing your body to regulate its body temperature, and yes, can decrease the likelihood of you having heat stroke. So again, hydrate. It's important. You need to do it. If you don't, you will die in roughly 2 to 3 days is all it takes, okay? And it'll creep up on you, okay? Some people don't realize, you know, respiratory, you know, just the act of breathing, we're losing moisture, okay? All these different things that cause our body to, you know, fluctuate with hydration. It's important that you stay on top of it, you know? Just do a well balance, whether it's, you know, coffee and a lot of water or a Powerade every once in a while. You have that glass of wine or beer or something like that. Just be responsible like anything, okay? Don't go to excess. Treat it with moderation. So, all right, guys, I hope that was helpful. I hope you know, listen to some of these things and you're like, oh my God, I had no idea. So, Jesus, I'm gonna change my ways, or what great information. Now I know maybe you were having some issues on the trail with cramping and everything. It's because you're getting dehydrated. So all these things, hopefully some of this information was useful to you. If you have anything to add, do it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. So at this point, please hit the like, the subscribe, and the bell notification icon. I'd really, really appreciate it. It helps out the video and it helps out the channel. Can always use extra assistance, all right? Park passes, gas money, because it's an arm and a leg now to even make it to the regional parks, you know? And coffee. I can't forget the coffee. If I don't have my coffee, it turned into kind of an asshole, so it's just one of those things. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it's the devil's work, but those links are down below so you can follow us on social media, guys. Again, the support helps. You can keep up on all the day-to-day things that we're doing here at Get Out Arizona, our group hikes, our group rides, all the activities, the shenanigans. Been doing more short form content so you guys can kind of see what's going on the daily. Check it out. We'd love to hear from you on that, you know, support on that. There's also going to be some links down below that might be affiliate links. If you click on one of those, you won't be charged any extra, but if you make a qualifying purchase, hey, that helps us out again. Park passes, coffee, and gas money. Gotta love it, you know, and it's an easy way. So on that note, guys, seriously, with all sincerity, thank you so much. I love doing these videos. Hopefully this one, again, you got something out of it. Let me know down in the comments below. Is there something you want to see us talk about in Garage Talk? This is kind of that free-formed, you know, segment that we do as far as that goes. Talk a lot of cool stuff. The next one coming up is actually going to be about the different cameras and stuff that I use filming these episodes and why I use them and which ones might work for you and which ones you can kind of forget about. So we do a lot of cool things with Garage Talk, and if there's anything you want to see us talk about or subject you want to learn more about, drop us a line in the comments below. We'll put it on the list and we'll definitely get to it within reason. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about astrophysics, although that would be kind of cool because astrophysics is kind of my jam. So guys, seriously, on that note though, what do we always say? Be kind to yourself and others, yeah? Be amazing stewards out on that trail, because we lead by example, of course, and we have to ask you, what are you waiting for? Yeah? Get out, Arizona. We will see you on that next adventure. Guys, take care, have an amazing day, and we'll talk to you soon.